You're listening to the We Are Libertarians Podcast Network. Find all of our shows at wearelibertarians.com. You're listening to the We Are Libertarians Network. Learn more at wearelibertarians.com.
To the Boss Hog of Liberty podcast. This is episode number 263 of the San Antonio's favorite podcast. I'm Jeremiah Morrell. Today I'm joined by executive video audio producer, engineer Zach Burcham, and my forever co-host Dakota Davis. What do we got going on today?
Today's episode features Mike and Patty Broyles, and we're going to be talking to them about all things Newcastle this evening. First, we're going to be talking about what I call the future of Newcastle. We're going to talk about some downtown buildings. Anything that I keep hearing rumors about buildings, and I know that Mike is the guy to ask, and he's going to be the one to tell me whether the rumors are true or not. And then Patty Broyles is the president of the park board here, and we're going to be talking to her about outdoor recreation, parks, and walking paths, and updates, and funding, and all of that fun stuff as it relates to outdoor recreation here. And at the very end, there was an eventful day for Newcastle Community Schools, and we're going to talk some news on that front.
This show is about our lives in rural Indiana. We're here to push your boundaries and make you think as individuals. Sometimes we'll provoke you, other times we'll make you laugh, but hopefully you'll always learn something new. We just did a extra special long, Patty said it was funny, she got to watch from the sidelines, Patreon with Chase Payton. Chase Python was in the building. Mm-hmm. Noted Bears fan.
Buffalo
Bills fan. You have to check out the Patreon to see what that's about. But I think we had a good time. It was a little extended cut.
That's right.
A little behind the scenes from our Nashville trip for the our 6th annual and hopefully my final bachelor party.
If you've been listening to the Boss Hog of Liberty for some time, then you might remember before we started doing Patreon bonus episodes, we would always start off the show with a recap of the week, and we would tell our funny stories of things that happened to us during the last week while we were off of the show.
Now we promise all the funny stuff behind the paywall. There will be no jokes on the regular mundane episode.
This is all very serious.
Dakota says we have to do it that way.
No smile lines in the real show. Patreon.com/Boss Hog of Liberty. That's where you can go to support the show every month. That's how we pay Mike every month. And that's also how we pay the electric bill and for MetroNet.
It's like we're printing money, though, because Mike is also a patron. So it's just,
that's right.
It's like an infinite money glitch we found.
Mm-hmm. Somehow that all works out. Who pays
Patty's
more?
Not aware. Yeah.
There's where the money comes from.
Mr. Say, that's my money. I spray those checks.
So Patty is a Patreon.
You guys should know that.
Okay. Patreon.com/Boss Hog of Liberty, or you can just go to bosshogofliberty.com and click the support now button. And we promise all kinds of free stuff on the other end. We give you guys things. We mail you things, presents occasionally, just randomly in the mail. We do a bonus episode every week. Sometimes it goes a little bit longer than 20 minutes, but we always promise 20 minutes. And then you get show notes ahead of time so you can follow along with every episode and see what we're talking about. If there's links, you get access to those links. And then if you donate $50 or more a month, then you get a shout out at the front of every episode. Those folks are Miss Christy Avery from all the way in Fort Wayne, the master trucker himself, Mr. Anthony Meyer, and then Jonathan Phillips. And Jonathan, I assume that
third week. This is the third week that
third week. His daughter Morgan is still in the hospital. This time, they are in Michigan, involved in an automobile accident. There is some fundraising and stuff. If you go to John's page, or I think both of us have shared it.
I think we've all shared it. Yeah, there were some T-shirts made. Morgan actually she's getting surgery right now, I believe. So
yeah,
this afternoon she's up at the University of Michigan getting some pediatric, I guess, vascular care. So Morgan is the biggest Michigan fan in the world at 10 years old, she picked Michigan as her school. So honestly, I'm sure she's in wonderful hands up there, but she's got to be pretty darn happy with it. She's gone to Michigan for her big work. So
wow, what are the chances?
I have high confidence in the docs up there for her. So, but yeah, loving the whole Phillips family.
All right, and then Zach Burcham, producer Zach, has put a link in the show, the live chat for all of our merchandise. You can click that link and go to all of them and get to all of your Boss Hog of Liberty goodies.
John's in the chat now and says still in surgery, about an hour to go. So wow. Well, John, hopefully we can, hopefully you enjoyed this. Take your mind off some stuff, man. We love you. Okay. Oh, also thank you to Marshall Pruitt, last week's guest. Marshall joined the Patreon.
Oh yeah.
So I hope that in the he's a listener from California now, in the San Francisco Bay Area. We say that everything we talk about it matters at the local level, but it also carries over nationally and internationally. So, MP, thank you for your support, and hopefully you like learning about small town Newcastle happenings this week.
Local stories, national impact. That's been our tagline for like 3 years.
That's it. Okay, I'm going to pass the baton to you, Dakota. Start us off.
All right. Since the start of this show, we have been talking to a lot of different people. We started the show when 1400 Plaza was just a dream. And
I believe you referred to it as the pit.
Parks and Rec fans won't get that one pretty well. And there have been a lot of different projects since then. 1400 Plaza, of course, has been finished for some time now and is bloomed into everything we hoped it would be. And buildings have been renovated, torn down throughout the years. So I keep hearing rumors, like I said, and I know Mike is the guy to ask. You're going to know all of my answers, and all of my inquisitive mind has thought I will come to you with all these. First of all, I just want to jump right into this, Mike, if you're okay. I heard that the Castle Theater has been acquired.
Yes, it's been probably a year and a half ago, I believe, hasn't it, Patty?
Yeah.
Some good friends of ours purchased that. And it's the same people that own the 1414 Event Center and a back porch bar.
Okay.
I don't think they mind me saying that. I'm going to have to be careful but I don't know a whole lot about what's going on there, except that they are hoping that at some time they can show movies back in there. But it'll be probably more of an event center, maybe some music, some things like that.
Yeah,
so
smart to diversify.
Type deal.
Gotcha.
And from what I understand, they've redone some of the floors in there with epoxy coatings. They've done almost the entire HVAC. They're doing it right.
Sounds a lot like Shelbyville. Is it the Strand Theater down there where they've got some live events and things that happen down there? I'm
more familiar with the one in Madison. They've kind of done the same thing. They're not quite as far along as what the castle is here, but I think
could have turned it into City Hall.
Yeah. Rushville.
I thought maybe you were going to say you heard the rumor about this building being demolished and
being condemned.
Yeah.
Are we getting thrown out? I gave you Hunter's business card. You can save this place, Mike.
I do want to say on that these are local people that have been here in Newcastle. And I think that makes a big difference.
Yeah, that's neat. Adds another layer.
Mm-hmm.
So that's been a discussion. And you guys, both the Broyles and Zach attend 99% of the Newcastle City Council meetings. And so often at the council meetings, the conversation you hear from our elected officials is that they want buildings to be in the hands of locals, that, they don't want out of town, out of state owners that aren't involved, that don't understand what's going on. But how is there anything the city can actually do to say, hey, we want to make sure that locals end up in control of these things?
No, not do. Other than we do have the RDC and the BRAP that has really stepped up. So
RDC is Redevelopment Corporation.
Right.
What was the other acronym?
BRAP. It's a building renovation assistance program, I believe.
Right.
Okay.
And that came from the RDC also.
It's RDC money.
They wanted to try to get where they've always done the facade and roof program, which they'll match up to $15,000, 50% level. And for instance, we used it on this building to repair the brick. After we tore all the siding off, we saw we had major brick problems. And so they gave us, or matched $15,000, which for a large building, that doesn't seem like much, but you don't want to turn something like that down. It could make the difference between being profitable or losing money.
Well, in a building like this one, right? A lot of times a downtown building, you have a front facade and that's it. We're downtown, but we're in a standalone building. So you have four exterior walls.
Yeah. So
bricks add up in a hurry.
Fortunately, Scott and I have been able to use that on almost all of our buildings, mainly for roofs. Roofs have been the major problem with downtown buildings. And the empty spaces we have are because roofs have collapsed.
Yeah.
So the
weren't taken care
RDC has
of.
been great about that, but they want to do more. And I think with Corey Murphy from the EDC and Carrie Barrett from Main Street, they came together with the RDC and tried to figure out how to entice more people to become building owners and also to entice businesses to want to come into those buildings. And we're talking a lot larger buildings than this. So 15,000 would really be a drop in the bucket for, a $200,000 project. So the RDC went to their advisors and figured out a way to fund more money to private ownership. And that's where the BRAP came about. And they had $400,000
Yes.
that the RDC put into the BRAP program. And Main Street is taking care of that. And they had that back in June, probably May and June, they took applications. They picked 10 different projects. The Castle was one of them. FC Tucker Realty, Edwards Jewelers, the Smith Jewelers, the old Smith Jewelers building, some of those. And I don't know what the most dollars awarded was, but there were some $70,000, $80,000 awards there. So that would get them a long way.
And that's still just roofs, or is that interior?
No, that's interior, exterior.
Anything for the building.
So it could be windows, could be furnaces, could be, everything that
Just
keeps
about
the
everything.
infrastructure going.
Yeah.
So tell me.
They set up a deal where they looked at the applications and awarded points for different things. Like if the roof needed, you got so many points. If you were doing interior work, you got so many points, and
Gotcha.
and judge it that way. A rubric to go
What
through
was-
all that.
And what was the need of this community? What you're going to do with the building? I think it affected 12 buildings that they've done. I think that this has been huge. The Castle, it has really helped the Castle Theater. And we haven't used it because we don't need it right now. But Tucker's using it for their building.
So FC Tucker, the real estate group, moved from Main Street, and now they're on Broad Street, just around the corner from us here now.
Mm-hmm.
And from what we understand, their plans are to entice a brewery into their west side of their building on the first floor, and then have a market rate apartment on the second or third floor. I'm not
Yes.
sure.
So tell me what you know about the Courier Times building.
That's another BRAP
Gotcha.
project.
I've been hearing all kinds of things about it. I know for sure about the coffee shop, but that's the
Yes.
only thing I've really seen in the newspaper. I did hear about, maybe I missed the story, and then I saw another thing on Facebook that said that the roof was going to be reinforced and there was going to be like a patio area on the roof.
Yeah, Stephanie Tedder, who is with Main Street, she's done a lot of renderings for different businesses downtown, different buildings downtown, and she came up with one with the painting the way it is now, and also showing some seating up on the roof. Which, if they ever got a brewery in there or a brew pub, be a beautiful area. You could listen to music at the plaza there.
Yeah,
sit up above it and enjoy a nice craft porter.
Yeah, the first stage was getting the building painted. They're doing landscaping around the outside. I think they're going to do some other entrances to the building. But as of right now, Whole Heart Communications, Christy Regal, she's in there, just moved in. I think they had a grand opening a week or two ago.
Young Life.
The Courier's still in there. Young Life's going to be in there. The Press is the coffee place. I think there's a tattoo parlor in the front side of that now. So it's all getting developed.
It's awesome. So what you're seeing is you're seeing a lot of small businesses, local businesses, but storefronts. So not just coming downtown, but actually having someplace to spend money or to go and do something downtown. Yeah. A lot of the downtown businesses, with the exception of a restaurant, you know, your offices are down there, right? But you're not going to go in and spend money with an attorney. Generally, you're not going to go. You know, now we've got salons downtown. You've got places that you're going to continue to go to. Yeah. Coffee shops are a great example. But other than Dakota, nobody gets a tattoo every 6 weeks, so you're not just going to keep coming to town for your tattoo.
Kai's Creation opened up across the street, bringing.
Oh yeah.
One of the local business people said he sat there and watched probably 50 cars pull in and out there between 11 and 2, I think, is when they're open.
Wow.
She's getting quite a few people in there, and I've seen people from the courthouse walking down, getting sandwiches and walking back. So the 1100 block's getting some love now.
Yeah. This week alone, just today and yesterday, I've been to Diva Nails. I've been to Edwards Jewelers. I've been to Barnett's Cookies.
Might get you some new jewelry?
No, I picked up stuff for our grandkids. And I've been to, I usually stop in at Unique. So before, you wouldn't think about coming downtown to pick up certain things.
Yeah. No, it is. There definitely has been a huge improvement in the downtown just in the last 10 years. It's really taken off.
So,
which is great to see.
What's the future of the building on the other side of our block over here that faces, I guess it's at 12th and Main, 12th and Race, 12th and Broad. There's a county building that is changing hands, potentially changing hands. Give us an update as to what that building looks like and how we're expecting it to possibly be used. Do we know?
No, it has changed hands. This is the annex building, right?
Yeah. So the county annex building was in a commissioner sale or a county sale.
Yes, and they accepted someone from Minnesota. That's about all they've said. I know someone local had asked for it in a 501c3 offered, but they didn't accept. I don't really think it'll fly. But that's my opinion.
All right. So we'll have to see what gets developed or not, what happens or doesn't happen. And that's the conversation, I guess, that we said a moment ago, is that it's difficult to know how when a building transfers, who's going to own it, who's going to have control of it, if it's going to be used for something. That's the free market side of it, right? Mm-hmm. There's a price tag on a building, and if you pay it, you pay it, and if you don't, you don't, and you're going to find out how it works out.
Yeah, I keep hearing that it may close in the next 3 or 4 weeks, but until that happens, we really don't know what's going to go on that one. Same with the former EMS building, which was the city newsstand back for many, many years, and I've got sentimental feelings on that because my grandfather had a store that he leased
inside that facility
for 70 years. But they went with closed bids on that just a few weeks after they did the annex, and I don't think they received any bids. The minimum was $32,000. The bricks falling off the front. You're going to have 30 or 40,000 to replace the brick.
You've got a building that the county condemned, right? So trying to market it, and this is where you get into difficulty of how do you save buildings when the county says, hey, you can't do anything with it. You put a minimum out there.
Correct.
How do you?
I don't know whether it was ever officially condemned. I think the city had the barrels put out because of the threat of falling brick, but I don't know that the entire building was condemned. So I need to investigate that a little bit more. But
I know it just came up at a city council meeting that the city is going to start citing the county for the safety part because they said the barrel thing was okay, but not for a long-term issue. Like they need to do something with the building. So I know the annex building, I think, got rezoned, or there was an agreement to is that the one they rezoned on the Monday's meeting, I think, but it was just some like restriction. But I know the county building that they brought up, the old newsstand, they said the city's going to tell the county you have to start doing something with the building because they said barrels don't actually negate liability if a wall falls down on somebody. So
yes, at another meeting, and one of the councilmen attended, it was asked if that was a privately owned building, how long would they let those barrels stay there without citing them or finding them? So that kind of woke up a few people, and we'll see what happens. I don't think the city wants to push the council.
Mike, you know that government has different rules than everybody else.
Yeah. Do you think
that's just the perks of government?
You think removing the minimum sale price would alleviate their problems if they got?
No, I don't.
I think it would help. I mean, if somebody could
if
get
no
that.
one else bid on it, hang on. I'd offer him $3.
Would Mike buy it for $1?
No.
With Mike? Yes. With Patty? No.
No. And who holds the purse?
Well, I'd buy it for $1.25.
Thank you.
Boy, wouldn't Audrey be excited?
But I think it's open bid, so you could go up to the courthouse and find out who bid on it and what that price is and outbid.
It's like a silent auction.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the point is, how long will you have time to fix it?
Right.
You know, they've taken a year and nothing's happened.
Right.
So what's your time limit?
As soon as you take a building, you're responsible for the insurance on it. You're responsible for the utilities on it. You're responsible for the repairs. That's kind of the point is if somebody gives you a building for $1, you've still got $100,000 in liabilities instantaneously that you got to. And once again, we're incredibly thankful to be in the structure that Rose City Partners has made available to us. And it takes something like that to save these buildings.
Well, that's what I've mentioned at some meetings that you've got to figure out some way to entice people to restore these buildings, because if you have your choice of going out on State Road 3, your taxes are going to be higher out there and everything, but your traffic to your business is going to be a lot higher. Are you better off going out there or trying to restore an old building, which could be a money pit? You just don't know. I mean, when we tore the siding off of this, we weren't expecting what we found out with the brick problem. And
likely going to be a money pit.
And it could be a lot worse.
Right.
But it's been good for Scott and I and Patty, and that we've been able to make them a stable, good building for another 40, 50 years, hopefully. And we haven't had any trouble leasing them out. We've got some good businesses downtown.
Dakota, we have 40 years. Mike says we have to go. That's it.
Well, I'm hoping you'll buy the building before that. Just buy it and get out of the rent.
I'm really hoping that.
So, but I think
at one point in time we said, why didn't we just buy the building? And then we needed a new furnace.
Yeah.
Oh, that was why.
Yeah, there's another 10,000 or 7,000.
Oh my God.
But I really think the government, I'm not thinking for them, but our council and the RDC wanted them to use the BRAP on the annex. And the mayor has said this numerous times. But the county hasn't released it yet. So they're out. So
that program has come to a conclusion. So now you've got to find additional.
Year. Yeah. So they're
So
out.
is there $400,000 a year in this program available?
We don't know. This is the first year.
The RDC has to fund it, and I'm sure it comes from.
Yeah.
It comes from the downtown TIF, which includes from Crown up 25th Street and down Broad Street. So
That's a big downtown, Mike.
yeah, it brings in considerable TIF funds.
It's a lot like Newcastle extending all the way to Spiceland.
It's all within walking distance.
Pretty much, or Spiceland to Knightstown on 70 is a TIF district. But all that comes back, and you can see what it's done for downtown. And I think we were headed that way before COVID. We really had the momentum downtown, and COVID slowed things down immensely. But
So-
you can tell from the cruise ins and the plaza, the activity at the plaza has been amazing the last 2 years. So,
The farmers markets are incredible.
yeah.
Brian Nichols of the Brian Nichols Show on the Wall Network. He and Caitlin are staples there now. I think every Saturday morning they're going down to the farmers market, and they're loving it. And they can walk from their new Newcastle home. Beyond the downtown stuff, though, what else needs to happen in town? There's a lot of focus on the downtown area. But as we're having the reason we're having this conversation is because there's a municipal election coming up, and the city candidates are going to be filing in about 4 months. So the purpose of this show is to kind of set the stage for, hey, what are the issues as we're going to transition into a city election on the heels of a county election that's coming up. In January, folks are going to file. Then in May, they'll have a primary deadline, a primary, and then we'll have a general election in November of 23. But that's why we're having this conversation. So we've talked about downtown. About 5 years ago, I was promised a walking path that was going to get all the way down to Woodbrook on the south side of town. That came up just short enough to not give me a walking path to get to downtown. Do you think those kinds of issues, the trails, walking paths, those livability items are on the table for the next cycle?
I can't say on that walking path. That was a Safe Routes to School program. And I don't know why it got shortened up like that, I think the prices went up from the time it was initially bid to the time it was constructed, and they had to shorten some things up. But I think, Jeff Ray, as far as other trails around the county, that's moving forward. I know the Wilburite Trail has another, I believe, 3-mile extension. They've been clearing from Moreland east to eventually connect up with the Cardinal Greenway. And the county owned quite a bit of that land, the old railroad. So that's progressing. I think the other things that are happening as far as what needs to happen to Newcastle to grow, the new restaurant, new coffee shop, new Culver's.
We're getting
out
2
on
new
3.
coffee shops. I don't want to talk about us being too blessed here, but we're going to have like 4 fancy coffee shops in a town of 18,000 people.
Pizza and coffee.
You can get premium coffee at Jack's. You can get it at Cafe Royal. You're going to have it at Scooters. Not. There's going to be 2 Scooters, which is going to cause mass confusion.
Yeah. Beer or
although
coffee?
I think there are 2 distinctly different clientele between Scooters Coffee on 3 and Scooters Coffee on I Avenue. Or Scooters Brew on I Avenue. It's a different kind of a brew.
As a Scooters on I Avenue former regular, I can confirm.
One of them secretly allows smoking. And then we have the you said it's called Drips. What's the press?
The press.
The press.
Press.
That's a
It's in the Courier
very,
Times
very,
building.
very smart name. So yeah, 4 special. You can have a specialty coffee 4 days a week and never repeat.
And there was a discussion during the BRAP about another one possible behind the old First National or Main Source Bank building and the drive up there. But I don't know. Haven't heard any more about that since. But those kind of things, what's happening downtown.
There's some fancy tea downtown as well. I've
Yes,
never
there
been.
is.
I've never been, but I see my wife's debit card receipts, and I know we participate. I believe it's Legends.
Yep. Or
Legends Nutrition, maybe. That's what the debit card says.
I think it's what it's called. Yeah, they do like smoothies.
dude, it's changed, hasn't it? Or did it change to Legends?
I think there's a third one now.
Never going to
And
financially
there's a
recover
third
from all these
one
small
on,
businesses.
the corner abroad around the dance studio.
That's the second one.
Oh,
And I heard another one coming in. But
I didn't know of a third one. There's so many things, which is a good problem to have.
Okay, back to my
To not be able to remember
personal
them.
complaint.
Okay. Yeah.
When am I getting my walking
Keep
path?
complaining.
I have to walk in people's yards. I have to walk my dog in the road on Main Street with people running by me at high speeds.
Do you live within the city?
No, but Woodbrook does. The people of Woodbrook were promised, which is city limits, they were promised this walking path that was going to go to their neighborhood. I would think you're pretty familiar with that neighborhood.
Well, originally, they were promised a sidewalk.
Yeah.
Grandkids live there.
Yeah.
I guess that's.
But they could walk to school. Like
Yeah.
if you had that, you had 200 houses in White Estates and probably another 20 in Woodbrook that would all have access to be able to walk, and then you could carry it all the way down to the new development in the as we're trying to get away from everybody having to drive a car constantly. The industrial park is the next step, right? You finish that walking path to the south, you can safely walk to the industrial park.
And that's another one
there.
in the future. Their walking trail that runs along the railroad tracks on Cherrywood. That's been discussed a little bit more here in the recent months, but that would continue on out to the industrial park. It wouldn't work for the school,
right?
But the county already owns a lot of that ground that could be made into a multi-use trail. But as far as the election, Patty probably has a better feel about all that. That
You think that's going to be a big deal? Expanding trails. You think Parks and Recreation is going to come up a lot? Or
I
what do you think?
now it's my personal on the trails. They're more in the county.
In the city, we call them walking paths.
I know. And Osborne Park had the last one, but it was Safeway to schools. So I don't think it will come up that much in the election. I think the parks might, but I feel like, I know I'm the president, but I think we've done a very, very good job.
I think so. I mean,
They're more popular than any time in my lifetime.
Yeah.
The crowds that you gather and the usage.
Yeah.
I don't know if there are usage statistics, but our city parks are booming.
Yes.
We took our son to Baker Park maybe last week or the week before, and I was telling my wife, I was like, you know how old this park, like all this wooden structure is? Because like I can remember when it was built and I was a kid. Mm-hmm. And so, I mean, it's been 20 years and it's all, if you consider the fact that it's an all wooden structure and it's 20 years old, the shape that it's in is pretty incredible, which can only come from proper maintenance. I mean,
Right.
it's, if you didn't take care of it, it would show.
That fun park, Dakota.
Yeah, the fun park.
It was built through Henry County Community Health. No, Healthy Communities.
I'm going to say 97, 98, 2000,
Yes,
somewhere in there.
And Healthy Communities helps us with that maintenance. Now, we are getting this year, because we received a $1.2 million bond last year. We are purchasing soon some playground equipment for this center, and we will be taking out in the front for safety and all the old, not the Healthy Community, not the fun park.
Gotcha.
It's pretty well safe from cars going in.
Oh, yeah.
There's plenty of parking and stuff like that.
I mean, there's basically a wall around the whole thing.
Right. But we'll be taking out some of the front for safety for our kids. And it's just too old. It's just, and
But you're replacing it with some
but it's going to be in the center of the park. We've already replaced, we have like 4 new pieces of equipment for older children. The fun park is from 8 and under. And then these are more older.
you know
I
where
know I was in the fun park older than 8.
Yes. I've got a 10-year-old grandson that loves it. But
I was the year they built it, I was helping run a wheelbarrow with mulch out there. And as a little kid in Messina, New York, we built a similar one in 1990, 91, 92. And I helped with that. And that has since, because it wasn't maintained, it no longer exists. So it's only 6-7 years older than Newcastle's, and it's other communities have already lost theirs.
But being on the park board, I think it's been 4 years now, possibly 5 years. They've given us have a budget line now. Usually when I first started, they said, you don't have to worry about the budget. I didn't know what was being spent. I didn't know if we could do this or that. And now with our superintendent, Mike Burcham, that's made all the difference. We have a leader, a very strong leader, and he handles that. And so
Sometimes it just takes someone continuously bothering people to get something done, right?
Well, and
I think
you can
it
trust your
takes-
employee too.
Right. That's
They're
the
empowered
whole
to do the
thing.
work.
We always heard these horror stories. That's kind of why I joined the park board was, well, I'll do that. We can all get along, because you could see, well, this one quit and this one was mad. And the mayor runs a show in the sense he has to trust you and you have to trust him. And this community is backing us 100%. And this mayor backs us 100%.
So what do you think is going to be your main focus whenever you're talking about the 2023 year?
Well, coming up, as I said, we received that bond. We're getting a skate park. We're adding on to the skate park.
It'll be expanding, yeah.
Yes. We are expanding it. What it is right now, it's about 13,000, probably 14 more thousand. It'll be the largest in Indiana.
Now, to commemorate that, will you do any skating?
Will I?
Yeah.
I will go to the skate park. I still go to the skate park quite often, but I do not skate.
You've not been on. How about a scooter?
Yeah.
We get on
It's
a
a
scooter.
compromise with the
We want to
scooter.
see Patty dropping into the bowl.
I'll drop my grandkids in there.
The skate
Is
park
Newcastle going to get a half pipe?
What?
A half pipe?
Half pipe of what?
A half pipe? Like for skateboards?
She's been involved with the skate park quite a bit, but still
the
doesn't know
design.
that
No,
much.
this
It's
what's
a half
coming.
a circle? A big half circle?
No.
You can drop
No,
in?
No, the focus on this one will be a pump track.
Oh, okay. Cool.
So that was something that was mentioned before they built the first section of it, that a lot of the bikers wanted a pump track.
Yeah.
And it was discussed about a dirt pump track, and that wasn't the place for it. But it's coming to fruition. And then also more of a street section
Yes, a street.
for younger kids. And
So you're going
just
to have
spread those people out a
That'd be
little bit.
good.
the largest skate park in the state of Indiana.
Yes.
On one side of Baker Park, we'll have the largest and finest basketball field house.
Mm-hmm.
And then the largest skate park in the state of Indiana.
And she's got other stuff coming.
Yeah,
And pickleball courts.
and pickleball courts. We have.
That was in today's
we are
paper.
just going to maintain our pickleball courts. It was.
We can't get the largest and finest pickleball courts in the state of Indiana.
We don't have that much money, you know.
There's only so many bonds we can get.
We were doing the disc golf, and we're still doing it. We're breaking ground soon. The equipment's been ordered and everything.
There's some disc golf now in the park, right?
Yes.
I see the baskets. I've not played, but I'm familiar with the concept.
What if
9
we put
holes.
disc golf in Trojan Woods?
No.
That was a joke, Patty.
You would interrupt the hobos.
Dakota's trying to stir it up.
Well, that was the original thought on the pump track. A lot of the kids wanted the
Putting
pump
it in
track in
Trojan.
Trojan Woods, but that
Yeah.
didn't go over well.
No,
Yeah, I
it did
remember.
not. It did not.
So you were, before Dakota rudely interrupted you with his ideas for the future, you were saying.
18 holes,
Wow,
18
okay.
cages. And Mike Burcham has been talking to 3 gentlemen from Muncie. And
Big
we're
city.
doing it. We're doing it. This fall will be the skate park, the golf. Last year was the pool. And, Osborne Park softball. We received a food and beverage grant.
How about the infrastructure side of the park? So the bathrooms, the kitchens, the concessions. How much of an issue or a struggle is that for governments to maintain to keep up with that?
We have no kitchens. The restrooms, what we've always said as a park board, we want everyone to be safe and welcome. Well, you have to have a restroom to feel welcome. Sorry, you do.
We covered that in Patreon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Dakota is not welcome in Hamilton County.
But it doesn't have to be a building in the sense you can have a porta pot. What people do is just damage, and I will not close a park for one person damaging a restroom. So we'll just have porta pots and go from there. We do have restrooms for big events, and we will open them up. But people just destroy them.
Yeah. It's always been a problem.
And we,
Yeah.
It's an issue Memorial Park's dealt with. Every public, it's the tragedy of the commons, right? Somebody thinks that they can just tear up a bathroom and it's no big deal. I think Little League this year has had the same struggles this spring.
I remember one time going into the bathroom by the fun park at Baker Park when I was a little kid, and there was a giant hornet's nest hanging from the ceiling, which is not anybody's damage, but
You didn't feel safe or welcome.
I did not feel safe or welcome.
no, and that's what I want you to do. But
back in those days, they'd prop the doors open. You remember they would have a wedge under the door, and it would just stay open for the bees and the hornets to just get in and make a nest.
And what people don't understand too, we have 7 parks. You think, where are they at? Where are they at? But we have 7. And
there's Low on the east side. There's Baker in the center of town. Osborne on the north side. I think you have, is it a Main Street park on North Main?
North Main, 2 North Main parks. One doesn't have anything in it.
Okay.
Your park, which is down on Broad Street.
The downtown part. Yeah.
And Vine Street.
I am not familiar with the Vine Street
It doesn't
park.
have anything
That would be why.
really in it. But
Have you tried selling it to maybe prop up the bathroom situation over in Osborne Park? That's a Mitch Daniels move. You could lease it to the Spaniards for like 75 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, we could. But we have 2 full-time employees. So you try mowing, and we have Trojan Woods.
Mowing, painting, repairs.
Right, with 2 full-time employees and a superintendent. And they do a great job.
You got Mike. He's retired.
Well, he helps a lot because they'll call.
Send him in there with some gloves and a scrub brush.
Oh, I refuse to do that.
I used to do that. Not at the parks, but
So,
We've all played janitor before.
yeah. Let's paint it, so. But the council does a great job seeing that we get the money, and we do a great job trying to budget our money.
So if folks want to volunteer for park projects or they've got ideas, and even with the downtown stuff we talked about, how are people supposed to get involved?
Well, if you want to get involved with our parks, it needs to be an organization. We like to collaborate with another team. Foursquare Church 2 weeks ago came and painted 3 of our equipment. And they get a hold of Mike Burcham through the Armory. You can call the mayor's office and get that number, and he will return the call and just leave a message what you're wanting to do. And we collaborate with a lot of people. Bicentennial just had that bicentennial car show and everything.
Where I work has done some volunteer work for Memorial Park, at the softball diamonds,
Right.
and stuff. So
We collaborate with a lot of people. We just, as I say, that's what
Jeremiah,
we
don't
do.
get a paint don't get a gallon of oil-based enamel and start painting slides and stuff.
But that's the point, is that you want to make sure that it follows a process so that you don't have people just making it up as they go along and saying, well, I'm helping.
Well, that's what happened when I first started. People would want to help, and they'd go out and buy a baby swing, and bring it to you and say, I brought
Put
you
this up.
Put this up. You can't do that. You can make a donation. That was one thing that has been very, very positive.
Is there like an Amazon wish list for the parks of saying, hey, we need this, and this?
No, there's not an Amazon, but we went through the foundation.
Henry County Foundation, and we have a pass-through. So if somebody wants to buy a baby swing, they can call, see how much it is, write the check, put it in the pass-through, and we'll get you a baby swing.
There's certain regulations that have to be met.
Exactly.
I know in Spiceland, in the park in Spiceland, there was a swing that had been broke for years and years and years. And I take Jackson down there, and I thought, I'm going to do something to get it fixed. And I thought, I'll just get the swing. So I texted Darren Jacobs. I was like, what do I need to do to get the swing? At the time, he was park board president
For Spiceland.
Yeah. And he told me what kind of swing, and said they hadn't talked about replacing it yet. So I was like, okay. So I look up the swing, and I was like, why is this one piece of rubber with two hooks $50, and I still have to try to figure out the chain and the mounting hardware? This is insane. So I buy the swing, and I was like, well, I guess it's a little bit more substantial than a piece of than a rubber strap. Mm-hmm. But yeah, there was a lot of different swings on Amazon that were like $12 that if I hadn't reached out, I could have just been like, oh, I'll just buy this thing. And then lo and behold, the town of Spiceland gets sued because someone's kid sits in the swing, and then they go flying off because
that was rated for residential use and not
Right.
heavy municipal use.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm surprised they even let you buy it through Amazon. I'll be honest.
I didn't really ask anyone for real. This was just a private conversation between two citizens.
Because we couldn't have done that. It has to go through because of insurance.
Right.
We bought a lot of baby swings at North Main Park, and a teenager sat in it, and she got stuck. So again, you can't get them out. We had to call the fire department, and they just literally had to tear that swing apart.
Oh, and I know those types of swings can't be cheap.
Oh, they're not.
Yeah.
So.
And then you've got to keep the kid hostage until the parents pay for the swing. It's a whole it's a whole thing. You can't have your kid back until you pay for it, Mrs.
It's a good thing
Smith.
we have the new jail.
No, she was a teenager, so we gladly sent that.
Gladly sent her away.
Yeah.
Your punishment is?
Your swinging days are over. Go home now.
You have to leave.
Can you imagine? Honestly, okay, I don't know the kid. I don't know the story, but I'm thinking of the embarrassment.
Is this the swing that we're thinking of that's like the round band with like the crisscross each way so the kid sits in her legs?
Yeah, the two legs stick up the front. Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't imagine being 13, 14 years old and your friends are probably videotaping the whole thing and they're going to put it on Instagram and you're just going to they're just sitting there turning beet red.
Teenagers.
They learned. I'm sure she learned her lesson instantly, Patty.
Teenagers been getting into those swings for as long as I've been alive. Because I can remember you see like petite adults getting in there, and then you see them struggle. They spend 30 seconds to get in it, 15 minutes of struggling with all their friends laughing at them to hopefully get out. And normally, the getting out is like dumping themselves out onto the ground and just flipping the swing up.
As a former teenager.
All right, final city piece that I want to discuss and see if you guys think this is going to be could be an issue in the city election. Dakota has been championing chickens for a very long time, and he successfully raised 2 or 3. Do you have some left?
I have 5.
Okay, they've been flying away. You've been working on your enclosure.
All they do is fly on the other side of the fence and then try to figure out how to get back in.
Darren hadn't put a stop to that yet.
No,
he's out of power. Do we? the reign of Darren Jacobs has ended.
It's true. He's done.
He hasn't been liberated from the evil communist.
He can still make a phone call.
Comrade Jacobs. So anyway, do we think that with Dakota as an example, maybe this is something that some people should think about in their race for 2023?
No.
Backyard poultry?
No.
Is there any hope, Patty,
No.
of chicken and eggs, a chicken in every pot?
No.
Are you anti-chickens, or you just don't think that people care?
You don't think people are going to vote on it or
I
give a
don't
darn?
think they'll give it.
Listen, I work in Greenfield a lot, and there are multiple yard signs that say "Vote for chickens," because apparently there's some person who's running for something there that has a pro-chicken platform.
Backyard poultry. It's the thing.
With the cost of food now,
It's going to cost you a lot more if you get
pretty
the
important.
poultry. I've learned that lesson.
Dakota is $72 jar of salsa and a $39 dozen eggs.
We have a daughter that lives in Michigan, and she has chickens, lots of chickens. And they first started in like a neighborhood like White Estates. So you possibly could have chickens.
If the county said it was okay.
The county won't allow it.
I'm supposed to have 5 acres.
Have to have 5 acres of agriculturally zoned land to have livestock, and under the livestock definition, chickens is one of them.
Now, if your chicken identifies as a parakeet, I think there's some gray area. I think you might be okay. Depends upon what kind of bird it says it is that day. But I'm just saying that we could decriminalize chickens, and I think this could be an issue for the 2023 election.
Are you saying you're running again?
I'm not eligible.
Well,
I guess
you
I
could
could
run for mayor.
I could hang some. I could hang some shirts in this building, and Mike, could you put a shower in the basement for me?
You could run
Not
for
much height
the
down
upstairs.
there. You're going to have to bend over to get underneath the shower.
You could run for school board.
Maybe I could get a bathtub. Just take a bath down in the basement. Walk by Brian every morning as he's trying to do sales calls, and I just come through and take my weekly bath.
There's a
Look at when's the last time you took a bath?
huh?
A bath. When's the last time you took a bath?
Oh, you mean like soaking in?
Like sat in a bathtub?
Oh, I don't know. Do pools count?
No.
Years.
Yeah, I'm saying.
Many years.
Zach,
Actually, not that long ago, because once in a while I'll have a real rough run and I'll end up in the fetal position in the bathtub and I won't turn the water on until my temperature either comes down or up to normal. So yeah, it's probably been this year.
Mike, you got a 2022 bath in you?
No.
No.
You know,
Hot tub?
No, that doesn't count. Patty, have you got bath bombs? I was going to say Patty probably has.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Sarah will do one from time to time.
I've been thinking about. Let me run this by you guys as we transition our conversation with the buildings and local businesses. I've been thinking of a like recovery spa for like physical recovery. So you'd have like saunas, cryotherapy, sensory deprivation tanks, massage therapists. Do you think that would be successful here or no?
I don't
Because
know.
we have the gyms.
Standalone business. I think you could go in to one of the salons and do something like that. I did talk to the gentleman who owns the property to the west here, and he's looking for ideas of what would work in that area. That's what they rezoned from residential to
Okay,
C1.
yeah. I knew they did something. They redone something.
This just where the Firemark Insurance building was many years ago.
Correct.
It
Maybe
would have
we'll talk
worked.
to him.
It would have worked.
I think he
well
lives
then.
in Spiceland too.
Oh, there we go. Go 50-50.
One last punch for my
Put it in Wilson's
walking
market.
path. If by chance they ever built a youth sports facility down on 300, that walking path would be real helpful to get some kids
They will.
down there.
I'm telling you, you could walk from your house. You just have to walk around the block, and then you end up on the street that dumps out on the walking path. I know they're supposed to get a sidewalk, but I'm a runner. I prefer the walking path. It's much more pedestrian friendly than sidewalks.
I'm perfectly happy
And
with
the
the walking
sidewalks
path.
in this town are like kind of dumpster fires at times.
Yes.
Like they just did cuts with curbs for every sidewalk, for every driveway and walkway. And so they're like not really that fun. I've run in the road because the sidewalks aren't that great, but I like the walking path there.
There's some less than ideal water situations as well with some of the walking paths that exist. They get
flooded.
soggy. They get flooded, unfortunately. All right. So final topic I want to talk about with the crowd today. It's back to school week. And yesterday was, I think we all have family members that are associated with Newcastle Community Schools now, in various ways. Yesterday was back to school, big back to school photos, great morning. And then some sort of an incident happened. And I think it's still unclear, Zach, you're the parent in the room that has kids in Newcastle schools. You may be able to say which one's correct.
I still am not actually sure. But
I heard two stories. There was one that there was some sort of a disturbance next to one of the elementary schools, next to Parker Elementary, and that caused some police to get called. And then there was also a report that some sort of an emergency alert system was set off from a classroom, and that caused a full. The first thing I saw on the Facebook rumor mill was that a staff member had left the school early, and that whatever child got hold of their phone and did something, and that triggered it. And that was unofficial. That was just somebody posting something on Facebook.
I think you're right.
I think that's official now.
Okay.
I think the superintendent sent out a message that that's what happened, and it's a new app that was set up for the schools for an instance like that, and it apparently worked really well. I mean, the police, emergency units did a great job
in school within a minute, right?
Yes. So we welcome that, but
it had a cascading. So it sent this panic through, I think, every citizen in town, and we saw what a full scale turnout's going to be if there ever is an issue. But as I understand it, I know my nephew was at Westwood School, and they went room by room and did basically a live shooter drill at every elementary school in town, which meant that police officers went through and visited every classroom, and every teacher went from teacher mode to protective mode.
Yeah.
Can you imagine how scary that would have been?
I think
Knox Coger, Cade's son, first day of school, like he's kindergarten, right? So the very first day he goes to school, you're kindergarten and you get that.
We've got a second and fourth grader grandchildren at Westwood, and Patty made a point to ask him last night how things went, and both of them acted like it was no big deal. As far as they thought, it was just a drill, but they knew what to do. And
I think we have some good teachers in this town that kept the kids calmed down.
But unfortunately, I think social media blew that so far out. I think right away, nobody knew what was going on.
I think that the biggest takeaway from it is a kind of a congratulations to our law enforcement they said they had 6 officers actively clearing Parker within 3 minutes of receiving the text message.
Yeah, my kids are at Parker, and like I got a little flamed on Facebook for saying this.
Were you at work or at home that day?
I was at work, and the first call I got was I got one call from the school saying that there was an accidental, nothing's wrong, everybody's safe, and that was like after 2:30. Then I got a second call from the superintendent saying that it was an actual threat and that they were going to prosecute and investigate. So it was kind of back and forth, and in the opposite order. And I heard later in the day that it was actually the accidental message. But somebody said, was talking about the trauma to the kids or whatever. And like my kids were at Parker, both of them. I have a first grader and a fourth grader. And when I saw them, like, hey, how was your day? And they're like, it was good. And then I had to dig to ask about, did they do something at your school? And he's like, yeah, it was kind of scary, but they explained what was going on. And because I said on Facebook, I was like, don't assume that these kids are traumatized, because it seems like, at least at Parker, that the school and the administration handled it really well, and the kids weren't like lastingly scared. And my generation was, Columbine happened when I was in school. We had multiple bomb threats when I was in high school, and they would do wonky things. It was kind of early on in those days. They stuck us in the football stadium at one point and just had us sit out there. My kids were fine. And they're like, I had to ask, but they went to school today. They were fine. I think social media pumped it up. And I remember when we had the bomb threats when I was in school, parents would come screaming into the parking lot and hollering and hooting and just making a fuss and picking their kids up. that's probably what was making kids cry, is that their parents were freaking out. And it's like, hey, my son was just super excited. He met one of the police officers in town, and he's like, oh, I know your dad. And he's like, oh, and so he's like, oh, what's your name? And he's like, oh, it's Zach. And it's a police officer I know that I went to school with, whose name is Zach. And we have a goofy thing where wherever we see each other, we're like, hey, Zach, how's it going, Zach? We'll say our names as many times as possible during the, and my son thought it was the coolest thing ever that he met a cop named Zach. And that he wanted to call me and tell me. So I just kudos to the police department for being jolly on the spot. My mom was on Main Street and said that it was crazy. She said there were just cars flying around everywhere, and I guess there was even a small accident with one of the officers trying to get to one of the schools. But yeah, on site in a minute, building cleared in like 3 minutes. And then my mom was in the school picking my kids up and said that it was cool. It was calm. Nobody was freaking out. She didn't see anybody crying or anybody upset. She's like, it was an odd situation, the way they did dismissal, but it was nothing crazy. It wasn't anything. So I was like, kudos that that's the way the community handled it, and at least the powers that be. But yeah, my kids had a good first day at school despite the weirdness. And you don't want that happening at the first day of school, but yeah, I hadn't even heard officially that that's what it was. I'm glad that there's an app like that they can report that quickly, but maybe have it a little less hard for your kids to get on your phone and lock the entire school system down.
Yeah, the press release from the Newcastle Police Department said that they were going to be working with the Newcastle Community School Corporation to see if anything needs to change with their alert system or not. They kind of left it open. They were like, maybe not.
You want to make it like not super easy to hit, but you don't want to make it so hard that somebody who's under duress
is fumbling and can't get it done, right?
Like you're probably not going to put a PIN code on there or something. But
most phones have fingerprint readers.
Yeah, or you have to hold it down for 2 seconds instead of just a tap.
Yeah,
and sometimes that could be enough to just keep it from going off. But kudos to all the people that were involved, because like I said, my kids were fine.
Yeah,
they were doing well.
Ours was fine. I feel like that 911, we were at county council or a commissioners meeting, and I think this money came, this app came, they purchased this app from them, but I feel like this was, and they said, put it on your phone, you know. Well, every employee has it. She wasn't in school that day, you know.
That's a thing where they could geofence it.
Right.
Mm-hmm. You could geofence an app like that really easily and just have it be like you have to be
around the school
on the property. Like, you know, I have like cameras around my house and they automatically arm when I get 2 houses away. If I leave, like they're geofenced. So if your phone's got GPS on it, then yeah, they could set that up so that if you're X distance away from the school, that it wouldn't trip it, I would think.
Or give a teacher or an employee that you want to have a phone. This is their personal phones.
All right.
The school's not buying these phones. This is their personal phone.
Yeah, that's an excellent point, is that we blur this line, and this happens in business all the time, of, you know, a company's like, well, you have unlimited data on your phone, so just put it on there. And it's, well, no, if you want me to use it for this, then you need to provide me with the equipment to do the job, right?
Right.
Or at least pay for some of my phone bill.
Yeah. And the bigger the organization, the more likely they are to want to put other software on a phone to make sure it works the right way. But if you're trying to roll something out on
for
the cheap,
safety.
then yeah,
for
it's
safety.
Mm-hmm.
Those teachers need a phone, and they shouldn't have to use their personal phone if you want the application.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if it's on Wi-Fi, they could do it on a tablet too. It's not like, or just, you know, any sort of a device that's on Wi-Fi. It doesn't necessarily have to be a cell phone.
I mean, how long has
Wi-Fi in a building
been around? It's sad that it has to happen anyway, that there needs to be an app for it anyway, or some kind of immediate alert device.
179 days to go, 178 more days of school to go. Hopefully they're nice, peaceful, wonderful days.
Well, it was better today. I picked up my grandbabies, and they act like it was no big deal.
Perfect.
I drove by a couple of schools today, and there were cop cars there the entire day.
Now, I do wish that we had, if this could have been a little bit different, if it was at our county school at Westwood, because they don't have the
Right.
police there
Or if it
all
was
the time.
At Tri.
Or if it was I think Tri might have an SRO.
We do have an SRO. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, but we only have 4 in Newcastle, and we have more than 4 schools
Why is that?
for money.
Money. Yeah.
And
you-
manpower.
Yeah. You've only got so many people to go around for X number of buildings, right?
I was on the same post that Zach was commenting about, and that was asked, and the police department, because of retirements and everything, they're down 2 officers, didn't
Yeah.
they say?
Yeah. They said they're a little short-handed now.
And trying to find people that want to be a law enforcement officer now. It's tough.
I mean, just hearing the chief talk about, there's all kinds of little side projects that they get pulled, that officers have opportunities to work kind of. And so it's very competitive for him to even have guys to do some things because they have so many side things that they want them to be doing. So there's a lot of places that different groups for various enforcement reasons, whatever, are wanting to pull officers to have them work certain places. And yeah, I think it's hard enough for him just to keep officers just to do police officer stuff. And then like they've had, when the pool was open for the end of the year, they had a police officer at the pool. And so there's all these places that you don't want to pull anybody off the road for that. So you're finding them when they're off duty kind of thing. You're giving them extra work.
Yeah.
And there's only so
Off
many to
duty
go
has
around.
tremendous number of opportunities
Yeah.
to do. In the road construction industry, there's almost always on a major project, there's a law enforcement officer line item. And you saw it here in Newcastle last year when State Road 3 was getting worked on. There was an off-duty officer that was paid as a part of the state contract to sit in that job, and to have a presence and to have lights on, or to basically to get people to be safe.
Chief Schofield mentioned that those guys will make up to $50 an hour sitting out there in their car on 70 or 40.
And they're, I've seen Henry County town police officers well north up into Grant County, picking up extra work and doing that. And that's a part of the package. But you've got, when you have multiple opportunities for people to go make money, then the local stuff is maybe not going to work out. Just how it works. They're perfectly appropriate and should be doing the NDOT work as well, though. They're needed there for traffic control as well. That's keeping people safe and getting roads built. So, we are at the point in the show where we probably ought to start transitioning over to final thoughts, cleaning up anything we forgot, creating more opportunities for people to volunteer, get involved in stuff. Patty, we always start with your chair. Is there anything we messed up, we need to clean up, that we forgot? Anything else you want to cover? Anything you want to plug?
Not really. I'm looking forward to next year election. I feel like this administration has done well, and looking forward to continuing on. Our school safety, we just pray every day that our kids will be safe. And I think our parents need to be more involved in our schools to help and voice their opinion. Very,
very much appropriate. I had that. Sarah and I don't have any kids in the school system at this point, but it's just there's risks everywhere you go, right? And I came from a family that we would end up being home educated at the end of our elementary and our high school careers as the moral kids, but I'm sure their families are going to look at, hey, do we want to be in public schools? Do we want to homeschool? Do we want a private school? And families are going to look at that stuff, but there are risks everywhere, right? We've seen violence, whether you're walking down the street or you're in a shopping mall on the south side of Indianapolis, or you're in school. There's, a congresswoman died in a traffic accident yesterday, right? There's no guarantee of safety anywhere, but it's a part of living life, and you carry on and do the best you can. So thanks for being with us, Patty.
Thank you.
We appreciate it. Zach, what do we know?
I'm going to say thanks to the parks. So we opened and closed the pool down on Sunday on their last day of being open. And people remember the pool when I was a kid. The pool today compared to the pool of my childhood are two entirely different things.
Even my childhood.
Oh my God. Like every time I went to the old pool, I cut myself because it was like a thin concrete layer on the bottom of the pool. It was half broken and you're like, well, there's my knee. I'm bleeding. Our pool's awesome. It was super affordable. It's $2 a person. And then you throw $1 at them for a lounge chair. Like I said, I visited a little town that's pretty similar to Newcastle that had a similar pool, and it was $8 a person. So that's the difference between $8 to get in or $32 to get in. All the lifeguards were awesome. The skate park, I don't use the skate park. I run by the skate park a lot. That's incredible. People don't understand how well used it is, how good the people are that use it. Like I've never, back before it was there, I get yelled at and hollered at by the kids at the basketball courts. And the skate park chased all those people away. And now the basketball courts are still getting used, but it's not people yelling and hollering, hooting and hollered at me. And then I'll just reiterate that please get involved. My wife, she finally recruited some people at the end of last year. My wife was the PTO for her elementary school last year. She was it. There was nobody else that showed up to anything almost the entire year. And so if people want to complain about your schools, then get involved in your schools. Because they need the help. They need help doing all kinds of things. There's stuff that they're struggling to pay for as well. And the PTO helps reward the teachers and the staff and get stuff going and fundraisers and stuff to keep things moving along. So they genuinely help the education your kids are getting and the opportunities they're getting. So yeah, get involved in that because I found it kind of ridiculous that my wife was the PTO. She was a president and everything with this like a second grader she took over. So
she elect herself.
It was like attrition. It was like last man standing. It was like everybody else left. So feel that. So I want to see kind of where Newcastle goes. It's been so much cool stuff that's been going on, and the skate park expansion will be super cool to see. And Pointer Brothers, who have been super involved, and they're moving to get even closer to the skate park, and so that's awesome. I've been running by and
watching that building come along has been fantastic. It looks spectacular.
I don't want to pay for the AC bill on it because they painted it black, but it looks like a super cool building, and they'll be so close. I think they said 500 feet away, and those guys seem to be so nice and so invested.
It's literally the closest they could possibly get to the park.
Yeah, without
building something.
Yeah,
new.
without either building or tearing a house down. That's been. I saw it. I was like, "What are they doing?" I'm like, and I see their van. I'm like, "Oh, they're taking that building over. That's cool." And they're doing some cool stuff with how they're decorating and stuff. So, all kinds of cool stuff going on. So I'm just enjoying. I literally run around and see what's going on. But
very good, Mike.
I'll pretty much just echo what Patty and Zach said. That just need more people involved. I mean, when Patty and I and Zach are at the city council meetings. A lot of times it's just the three of us that are up there. So if people are really concerned about things, Facebook isn't the place where you're going to get it done. Get up there and voice your opinion. School board meetings are halfway well attended. County council, county commissioner meetings, that's pretty sparse up there. When we go up, I look around and we're probably the only public in there that's not employed in the courthouse or by the county. So it's people getting involved. And fortunately, Patty and I are retired and we have the time to do that. But if you're really concerned about stuff, you got to get involved in that.
You're not the only ones with the time. You're the ones that are putting the effort in. But if you do show up, you can certainly end up finding yourself on boards and getting involved. It takes an interest and a pulse is essentially what it takes.
And the post that Zach was talking about, people were complaining that we didn't have enough SROs and different things like that. And it was said that you need to get with the city council and see what they can do for the police budget, what the school board can do for their budget to hire a couple more full-time SROs. Because you know what the school budgets are, you know what the county budget is, you know what the city budget is, we do, and it's tough for all of them.
Yep.
And they don't realize that there's a shortage of officers available. So what do? You've got to become involved and let them know that you're worried about that, and they'll find that money somewhere. They'll do without something else. And
The people who are involved make the decisions, and it's never anything nefarious.
Yeah.
It's just
The squeaky wheel.
they're the ones that show up.
Yeah.
And you don't.
I mean, it's also really interesting just to show up to meetings and then you have an understanding about why some things happen. Like we have a stoplight that got taken out. They put a stop sign up. You would have thought that it was a conspiracy from the bowels of a building somewhere hidden in downtown.
Yep.
Somebody put money in their pocket.
Yeah, somebody was lying in their pockets.
Listen, I heard the Parks Department gets $500 every time a stoplight goes down in this town. That's what I heard.
That's how I get my jewelry.
That's how the grandkids appear to be getting their jewelry.
But people, I always tell someone, you have a voice. Use that voice. Be respectful and use that voice. You might not have a vote, but you have a voice.
I'm 5 doors down from getting a vote, but I do have a voice. I do pay the city every month. I write them a check over $100.
You have a county voice, though.
Oh, I do have a county voice.
Sure do.
And I got this microphone, which is pretty cool too. Dakota, what do you say?
Don't have a whole lot. I just wanted to give a quick shout out to basically just to Chase and tell him we celebrated his bachelor party. Chase Payton, we celebrated his bachelor party last weekend. You can hear it on Patreon. Excited for him to get married. I've known Katie for a long time at this point. She's great. Chase is great. Excited for both of them. So
that's going to be awesome. Very much looking forward to that wedding, and got some fun stuff coming up. I think next week's show we're going to be working into a business owner series again. So we're going to be we'll just leave that as a teaser. But Thursday next week.
Don't tell him who. Don't tell him.
The 11th. I don't want to tell anybody anything
Tell me.
because stuff happens. But we're going to get back into a little bit of a business owner's routine here. So tune in.
I want to say one more thing.
You go for it.
I thank you and Dakota what you guys have done, because the election series has always been great, because it's been some people that maybe I wouldn't have a chance to talk to, hear their views, the sheriff series that you did, and a lot of other things, just like the business. So you bring out a lot of things that you don't normally hear. So I appreciate what you guys have done over the
small
years.
business episodes have turned out to be like a lot more fun even than what I expected. I mean, not to say that I had expected them to not be fun. I've just
Dakota's
had a
looking
lot
forward
more
to our
fun
first fun
talking to
episode.
them.
It's better than the racing series, right?
But like we had,
Tolerates that. He just calls in. He didn't. Marshall Pruitt's got 6 million downloads, 8 million downloads on his podcast. Yeah, Dakota's like, the hell with that. I'm not coming.
By the way, I didn't make the TV broadcast, but if you watch last week's IndyCar race at the beginning during the pre-race, you do see friend of the show, Mike McCowan.
There we go.
He pops in there and is taking a picture of, he's standing right behind James Hinchcliffe, I believe.
Very nice.
oh James, yeah, me and him go way back.
The mayor of Hinchtown.
All right. Looking forward to the Peyton wedding. Thank you guys, Mike and Patty. You're awesome. You're very special to this show, and we're glad to finally get Patty on. 263 episodes. We've got the premium Broyles now,
Yeah.
so that's as good as it gets.
Yeah, the paycheck.
Real
With that,
decision maker.
we'll see you all next week.
Thank you.